civic values, ethnic culture, pluralism, nationalism, identity plus loyalty, pluralism, power dispersed among groups, not state alone, power dispersed among groups, structure, liberalism, individual liberty, meal, limited government plus market, liberalism, individual liberty, meal, limited government plus market, nationalism, identity plus loyalty to nation state, civic values, ethnic culture, power dispersed among the group, not state, pluralism. Means limited government. National pluralism is nationalism. Identity plus loyalty. Identity plus loyalty. Pluralism, power dispersed among the groups, not state, among the groups. Culture, feminism. Actually, feminism. But the political theory movement for gender equality against patriarchy, wage suffrage, elections, vote, equality, intersectionality. Postmodernism in politics. Reject grand narratives. This is the concentrated power of a discourse. Occult power. Postmodernism in politics. Grand narratives and truth in constructed power. Anarchism, no state, no authority, voluntary cooperation. Anarchism, no state, no authority, voluntary cooperation. Anarchism. Green political theory, ecology over growth, sustainable development, limits to state plus market. Green political theory, ecology over growth, sustainable development, ecology over growth, sustainable development, limits to state plus market. Limits to state plus market, ecology over growth, sustainable development. Environmentalism, anarchism, voluntary cooperation. Green political theory, ecology over growth, sustainable development, limits to state. Fascism, Nazism, state supremacy, Nazism, racial supremacy, anti-fascism in one line, extreme nationalism, dictatorial rule, anti-liberalism, militarism, Mussolini, Hitler. Democratic socialism, achieve socialism through democratic means, achieve socialism, not revolution. Actually, socialism, Marxism, utopian versus scientific socialism, utopian versus social socialism, utopian more appeal ideal society, Saint Simon, scientific materialist, analyst, scientific materialist and analyst, Marxism, utopian, moral appeal, ideal society, materialist, analyst, class struggle, Marx, Engels. Marxism core idea. Class struggle, mode of production of scope society. Marxism. Capitalism leads to alienation. Democratic socialism. Achieve socialism through democratic means, not revolution. Welfare state. Mixed economy. Nehru, European Social Democrats. Democratic socialism. Achieve socialism through democratic means, not revolution. Welfare state. Mixed economy. Nehru, European Social Democrats. Achieve socialism through democratic means. Not revolution. Welfare state. Mixed economy. Nehru, European Social Democrats. Nehru. Actually, class struggle. Production shapes society. Capitalism leads alienation. Revolution. Oral appeal. Democratic socialism means. Democratic socialism through democratic means, not revolution. Means welfare state, mixed economy. Welfare state, mixed economy. Conservatism. Core idea of conservatism. Actually, traditions, hierarchy. Conservatism. Organized society, gradual reform. Edmund Burke against French Revolution. Neo-conservatism. Traditional value, assertive foreign policy. Neo-conservatism. Traditional value, assertive foreign policy, limited welfare. Rise in US during Cold War. Traditional value. Neo-conservatism. Assertive foreign policy, limited welfare, traditional hierarchy, organized society, gradual reform, liberalism, classical liberalism, individual liberty, classical, individual liberty, limited state, free market. Free market, individual liberty, limited state, free market, natural rights, Locke, Adam Smith, Mill. Classical liberalism. What is new liberalism? Positive liberty, welfare state must ensure social economic condition for freedom. T.S. Green rules. Classical, Locke, Adam Smith, Mill. Liberalism versus libertarianism. Liberalism, state for welfare, for rights. Libertarianism, minimal state, no redistribution, minimal state. Major criticism of feminism. Criticism plus contemporary. Western centric ignores cultural context. Fragmentation. Western centric ignore cultural context. Fragmentation. Liberalized radical. Essentialism assumes universal women. Backlash seen as anti-man family. Western centric ignores cultural context. Fragmentation, liberal versus radical versus intersectional. Western centric ignores cultural context. Fragmentation, liberal versus radical versus intersectional. Feminist in India. India, multiple access, oppression, caste, community, religion, women's, socialism, social reforms, post-colonial feminist, critique Western universalism, community, religion, women's movement, tied to nationalism, social reform, major criticism of feminism. Western centric ignores cultural context. Fragmentation, liberal versus radical versus intersectional. Essentialism assumes universal women. Backlash seen as the anti-man family. Essential assumes universal women. Backlash seen as the anti-man. Fragmentation. Feminist critique of state. Post-colonial feminism. Liberal feminism. Stuart Mill, Mary Wollstonecraft, reformist within liberal framework. Legal plus political rights. Criticism ignores class, race, structural inequality. Radical feminism. Patriarchy, root of all oppressions. Restructuring society, family, sexuality, criticism, essentialist, difference among women. Marxist socialist feminism. Deloitte Mitchell, product of capitalism plus class economic emancipation needed. Gender to class. Intersectional feminism. Oppression is multi-layered. Gender, race, caste, class. Indian example, Dalit women pre-double marginalizations. Post-colonial feminism, Chandra Mahanti critiques Western feminism for universalizing third world women. States colonial history, culture, actually structure. Ideology for civil society. Ideology plus civil society. System of ideas about society plus politics. Marx by false consciousness. Civil society. Gramsci, sphere between the state plus family. Voluntary associations. NGO, media. Site of hegemony plus resistance. Civil societies. Gramsci, sphere between the state plus family plus voluntary association, NGO, media, site of hegemony plus resistance. Civil society. Gramsci, sphere between the state plus family, state and family, voluntary association, NGO, site hegemony, resistance. Civil society ideology, system ideas about the society. Politics, Marx, false consciousness. Politics, Marx, false consciousness. Sociological tool. Democracy plus representation. People make laws themselves. Representatives, elected delegates. modern states, acting for other descriptive, mirror society, substantive act in interest of people, substantive act, power of authority plus legitimacy, power versus authority, power, ability to influence authority, legitimate power, accepted as a rightful, ability to influence authority, accepted as a rightful, traditional charismatics, legal rational, accepted as rightful, waiver, power versus authority, influence authority, legitimate power, accepted as rightful, power को legitimate करना, accepted as rightful, waiver, traditional charismatic, legal rational, based on consent of beliefs, right to rule, legitimacy, without legitimacy authority collapse, rights of law, concept of sovereignty, state, permanent population, territory, government, sovereignty, population, permanent of territory, government, sovereignty. Lasky state is social institution for common goods, social institution for common goods. Sovereignty, supreme absolute individual power, modern view, divisible limited by law, global norms. Nation versus state, nation, cultural, emotional unity, state, legal political entity, nation may exist without state, cultural emotional unity, state, legal political entity, nation may exist without state, nation versus state, cultural emotional unity, state equal to legal political entity, nation, cultural emotional unity, nation, cultural emotional unity, nation, state, legal political entity, nation may exist without state, liberty, equality, justice, negative plus positive liberty, negative positive liberty, Berlin, negative absence of restraint, positive self mastery, capacity to act, equality, equal treatment, equal opportunity, equal outcomes, equality, equal treatment, equal opportunity, equal outcomes, Marxist stress, economic equality, liberal stress, legal equality, justice, fairness as justice, veil of ignorance, Aristotle, distributive plus corrective justice, equality, equal treatment, equal opportunity, equal outcomes, Marxist stress, economic equality, Marxist, liberal stress, legal equality, Berlin negative, absence of restraint, liberty, positive, self mastery, capacity to act, state of sovereignty. State of sovereignty. State of sovereignty. What is sovereignty? What is state? Permanent population, territory, government, sovereignty, Lasky. State is social institution for common goods. Permanent populations, territory, government, sovereignty, Lasky. State is social institution from common good. Sovereignty. What is state? Permanent population, territory, government, sovereignty, Lasky. State is a social institution for common goods. Lasky. State is social institution for common goods. Permanent population, territory, government, sovereignty. Permanent population, state. Sovereignty. Burden. Supreme absolute indivisible power. What is state? Permanent population, territory, government, sovereignty. Lasky. State is social institution for common good. Natural rights. Natural, inherent, inalienable. Locke. Natural rights. Locke. Is conferred by state. Enforceable by law. Rights. Legal rights. Natural rights. Inherent. Inalienable. Locke. Legal. Conferred by state. Legal. Rule of law. Dicey. Supremacy of law. Equality before law. Rights from courts. Limits arbitrary power. Limits law. Power, authority plus legitimacy. Power. Authority plus legitimacy. Power versus authority. Ability to influence authority. Power. Influence. Authority. Legitimate power. Authority. Accepted as a rightful. Rightful. However, traditional, charismatic, legal, rational. Legitimacy. Actually, right to rule based on concept of belief, Vishwas. Authority collapse. Without legitimacy, authority collapse. Right to rule based on concept of belief. Democracy, representations. Political representation. Direct people makes law themselves. Representatives, elected delegates make laws. Modern state use representatives. Political representation. Descriptive, mirror society, substantive. Civil society. Ideology. System of ideas about society. Politics, Marx. False consciousness. Civil society, Gramsci. Sphere between the state, family, voluntary association. State, family, voluntary society. NGO, media, right of hegemony plus resistance, civil society. State plus family, civil society. Voluntary association, NGO, media. Globalization and governance. Governance versus government. Government is a formal institution, governance networks of state. Market of civil society in policy making. Cosmopolitanism. Held. Habermas. Moral community. Cosmopolitanism. Extend beyond nation state. Global justice. Human rights. Global justice. Human rights above sovereignty. Global justice. Human rights above sovereignty. Postmodernism. Feminism. Postmodern political theory. Cult. Lyotard. Reject grand narratives. Power in diffuse. Truth is constructed through discourse. Feminist political theory. State plus politics are gendered. Personal is political. Critique of liberal neutrality. State plus politics are gendered. Personal is political. Critics. Postmodernism. Feminism. Lyotard. Postmodern political theory. Postmodern. Grand narratives. Power is diffuse. Truth is constructed through discourse. Behavioralism. Post-behavioralism.